It's a shame Zara couldn't be here tonight. Her early sketches were a lovely, if naive, foundation for the real work I had to do. The words echoed in the grand ballroom, amplified and slick. On the massive screen behind Liam, our project, my project, pulsed with soft, geometric light. The glare of the stage lights caught the smug curve of his smile, a perfectly polished performance of magnanimity. The audience, a sea of black ties and shimmering gowns, offered polite, confused applause. Producer leaned in, headset askew, whispering if I was ready for my cue. I just need a moment, I said, my voice unnaturally steady. The show is about to start. We met in a university printmaking studio that always smelled of turpentine and ambition. Liam had a raw, chaotic talent. I had precision. He'd splash ink with beautiful abandon, and I'd spend hours carving the perfect line into a woodblock. We were two halves of a whole, and our collaboration felt like destiny. Remember our first success? A poster for a campus music festival. We celebrated at 3 a.m. on the studio's paint-stained floor, eating greasy pizza from a box balanced on a stack of textbooks, convinced we were going to change the world. The first red flag was so small I barely registered it. An arts journal published a feature on student work and printed our festival poster with only his name beneath it. He was mortified, endlessly apologetic. Editor must have made a mistake, a typo, a terrible oversight, he'd said. I was the one comforting him, telling him it didn't matter. It was just a student journal. We knew the truth. That's what I believed was important. We called our design studio Kinetic. The first few years were a blur of success. We landed the branding for Verve, a minimalist coffee chain that blew up. We designed the interactive album art for an indie band that got nominated for a Grammy. Our shared loft office, in a converted warehouse, was featured in Design Weekly. Liam was the face, the charismatic visionary who charmed clients in minimalist Japanese restaurants. I was the engine, the one pulling all-nighters, writing thousands of lines of code for our interactive installations and refining every vector until it was flawless. He gave me the title Chief Creative Officer, which sounded important, but really just meant I was the one doing the creating. The cracks began to show in small, insidious ways. Expense report with a $2,000 dinner at a restaurant called Per Se, listed under client development, for a client we never landed. An interview where he referred to our projects as expressions of his singular vision. D started locking the door to his office. When I asked him about it, he just laughed. Gotta protect the secret sauce. Z, you know how it is. I rationalized it all. This was the price of ambition. He handled the stress of the business so I could be free to create. He was protecting me. The clue that unraveled everything was mundane. An automated email from our Dropbox business account. A new device has been logged in from Lisbon, Portugal. Liam was supposed to be at a tech conference in Seattle. A cold knot formed in my stomach. I spent the next 3 weeks in a state of quiet, obsessive focus. After he'd fall asleep, I'd slip into our studio and begin my archaeological dig into our digital lives. I wasn't a hacker, just meticulous. I combed through server access logs, cross-referenced his Instagram geotags with company credit card statements, and taught myself how to read metadata. I discovered a hidden partition on our server, a ghost drive labeled L-Private. Inside were dozens of projects, my projects. Concepts I had developed and abandoned, ideas I had sketched out in my notebooks. He had taken them, polished their surfaces, and sold them to clients on the side, funneling the payments into a personal account I never knew existed. The total was precise and sickening, $87,450. Found the final devastating piece of evidence last. He had filed a patent application for Ecolite, our signature interactive lighting technology, the technology I had single-handedly coded over 18 sleepless months. It was filed under a single inventor, Liam Porter. 2 weeks before the Innovator of the Year awards, at a pre-gala mixer, Liam delivered the killing blow. We were standing with a major critic, Peterson, and a potential client, Mr. Sato from a Japanese tech firm. Liam, holding a glass of champagne, was in his element. Peterson was praising the technical elegance of Ecolite. Liam placed a condescending hand on my shoulder. Zara is a phenomenal technician, truly, but vision, that requires a different kind of mind. She executes my concepts beautifully. Without my direction, she's just a pair of hands with a Wacom tablet. The air left my lungs. Sato's polite smile faltered. Peterson just nodded, scribbling in his notepad. In that moment, watching Liam absorb my life's work with a charming smile, the fury I expected never came. Instead, a profound, chilling calm settled over me. The plan began to form, not from rage, but from the cool, clear logic of a system being debugged. Liam's mistake wasn't just his ego, it was technical. He had deleted the original files from our shared drive to cover his tracks, but he'd forgotten about the company's enterprise-level backup protocol, an immutable, off-site archive created every 24 hours. A perfect digital ghost of every keystroke. The next day, I found Ms. Vance, an intellectual property lawyer whose name I got from a university alumni network. Her office was stark, all glass and steel, and she listened to my story without a flicker of emotion, her fingers steepled. The retainer was $15,000, nearly all of my personal savings. The next 2 months were a blur of affidavits, depositions, and late-night calls. Ms. Vance and her team were surgical. We gathered the evidence piece by piece. There were 47 timestamped server logs showing Liam moving my files to his hidden drive. There were the immutable off-site archives from 6 different dates, proving my authorship with uneditable metadata. We had bank statements showing 17 separate wire transfers from clients into his personal account, with transaction numbers matching the secret project invoices. He had sworn statements from 2 of our former interns, testifying they saw me build the Ecolite code from the ground up while Liam was networking in Chalum. And in a stroke of beautiful irony, it turned out Mr. Sato, the potential client from the mixer, was an old law school classmate of Ms. Vance. He was more than willing to provide an affidavit about Liam's dismissive comments. He filed the suit silently, breach of fiduciary duty, intellectual property theft, and fraudulent misrepresentation. But Ms. Vance advised a different kind of strategy. We didn't serve him the papers. We let the award nomination for Ecolite proceed. We let him believe I had simply accepted my role as the technician. His ego was the decoy, and he was walking right into it. The host's voice boomed across the ballroom. Now, the award for Interactive Design Innovator of the Year goes to Kinetic for Ecolite. Liam strode onto the stage, soaking in the applause, a conquering hero. He gave his speech the one I'd heard him practice, full of words like vision and paradigm. And then came the line about my naive foundation. As the applause died down, the host returned to the podium. An incredible story. And we have a surprise final contributor to honor tonight. Liam's smile tightened as my name was called. He tried to recover, gesturing for me to join him as if this was all part of his plan. As I reached the stage, the massive screen behind him flickered. The looping video of Ecolite was replaced by a split-screen display. On the left, my raw code files, with creation dates from May of last year. On the right, Liam's final version, dated 6 months later, showing only superficial changes. Lines of identical code were highlighted in glowing red. A low murmur rippled through the audience. Then, the killer proof. The screen cut to a video deposition of our former intern, calmly detailing my solo work on the project. It ended with a full-screen image, a scanned copy of the legal filing, case number 22CV8451, with the words intellectual property theft stamped across it in a stark digital red. Liam stared, his face ashen. He fumbled the heavy crystal award, and it fell to the stage with a sickening clatter. The host turned to me. "Zara, do you have anything to say?" I stepped to the microphone, the hot lights on my face. "He was right," I said, my voice clear and steady in the sudden, vast silence. "My early work was the foundation. The fallout was immediate and spectacular. Tech blogs had the story by midnight. By morning, the awards committee had officially rescinded the prize. Liam's social media vanished. Ms. Vance handled the settlement. He didn't fight. He signed over the company, all its intellectual property, and was court-ordered to repay the stolen $87,450, plus another $62,550 in damages. The patent application was withdrawn with prejudice. 6 months later, I saw him through the window of a Starbucks. He was working for a bland corporate marketing firm, the kind of place we used to mock. He was wearing an ill-fitting polo shirt and carrying a tray of coffees for his new bosses. His face looked gray, hollowed out. He didn't see me. My new studio is in a sunlit loft 3 times the size of the old one. Mr. Sato's firm is my biggest client. I'm busier and calmer than I've ever been. The betrayal forced me to stop being the engine and finally learn how to drive. My new business cards are simple, printed on heavy cream-colored stock. They just say, ZARA, the foundation. I finally understood that some foundations are meant to be built upon alone.